This particular webcast, we're going to gain an understanding of how to generate a BOM report and how to configure the Creo environment to set the BOM format, and how we can configure the output information. There's a couple of options that go along with that so that you can view the BOM report as you would like it to be viewed. And we'll go through and discuss how the information is presented in the report. So this is just a bigger representation of the objectives as you saw me go through it. And so I'm going to first mention that you can create a standard assembly. You can use standard constraints or connections, but you develop your assembly structure, how it's appropriate to what you need to do, component by component by component, linking the necessary model information that you would like to get a quantitative listing of later on. So have your completed assembly, and your bill of materials is a listing of all the components that are needed to build the assemblies. And you also have the ability to set up component parameters for viewing, and those are associative, and between the different modules can be viewed in, say, a BOM table, a bill of materials table in the drawing environment. So the first thing after constructing your assembly, and it can be a work in progress, by the way, after initiating, of course, the assembly structure, if you would like to run a bill of materials report, you can access from either the model tab or the tools tab the bill of materials option. It's going to be located in the investigate group. So both tabs have an investigate group from which you can access the bill of material tool. So you click on that tool, and doing so launches the bill of materials BOM dialog box, similar to as you see it here. Now, once you get this dialog box launched, you can see that there are specific sections. You've got the select model area and the include areas there in the dialog box. Now, you need to first specify the model that you would like to get this quantitative list of components of. It doesn't have to be the entire assembly. It could be one of the assemblies assembled into your top level assembly. So the system will assume initially top level, as you see the bullet there, and next to that option, but you can make changes as required for the report that you're generating. And of course, if you do select sub-assembly as an alternative select model option, then you can specify by selection, either in the main window or from the model tree listing, the name of that assembly that you'd like to get the BOM report of. Now, there are a couple of checkbox options down there in the include section. Let's talk about that in a bit. But assuming that you have the setup between the two areas the way you'd like, then you would click the OK button. And then at that time, when you click the OK button, the software is going to generate your BOM report and save the output to a file that will have the BOM extension. So I'm going to do all that so that you can see that in real time. But depending upon how your output is configured, because you have options, which I'll talk about, assumably, if you go with the default settings, you will see the browser launch into your interface, and that's the default setting for the browser to show the list of models. That's your BOM report interface until you make changes, of course, if that's what you need to do. But you might find yourself scrolling through the listing of information, getting that view of the data. It's going to be presented in parts. You've got the list of the components in your assembly or subassembly, so you get a breakdown of all the models. And then you have a summary of all the parts. Again, you could choose how that information is presented based on a customized format. Usually that's determined before you even run a BOM report, what format is being used, and that is linked through your configuration so that it comes in, your BOM report comes in the way the format has the information outlined. This one shows the quantitative value of models, the model types, the model name, but that could be different based on the format that you choose. The titles, the rows, the commands, and all can be customized appropriately if that's what you would like. But usually that's done beforehand, and this is what you see based off of what's already been set. So in this image here, we're looking at the BOM format configuration file option, which you can set through your configuration editor. This particular option, BOM format, will set or allow you to set that actual BOM format file that you want to use to customize the BOM report. Okay, this is a file that will have a FMT extension. So you could have several different format files by individual names, but this BOM format configuration option will allow you to point to a specific one, where you can specify, again, the name of the format file and that location that it's within. Now, I will show you that in real time too, but before we do that, let's take a look here at this other option, little known but very important. You have the configuration option, info output format, which will, if set, allow you to determine the default format type for the information that is presented to you through the BOM report run. You got two options. You have HTML and text. Now, this little star right here is indicating the defaultly assigned option from the software developer. So if you don't specify something different for the output format, the information that comes from your BOM report, it will come out as HTML, where the information will be output as a HTML data file. And your other alternative option is to set this configuration option, info output format, to text, which is not the default option. So if it's your preference, you do have to configure this so that the information that you get from your BOM run comes out as simple text with that text option. So you have choices, and it's important to know your choices so that you can configure your environment appropriately. Another choice you have is how the information is presented to you. I did mention that usually, based on default settings, the output comes out through the browser. But you do have this option, this configuration option, info output mode, that you can set up to determine the method of how the information is presented to you. So if you actually prefer a detached dialog box, another window with the information, then you can use this configuration option to choose your choice. So if you go into the environment, and I'll do that in real time, and go through the configuration editor and enter in this option, you have four choices to choose from. The both option is defaultly assigned, which is what that star means. And it's more than likely the setting that you have based on that particular situation that the software developer chose this one. With the both output mode option for your information, you are able to see the information on the screen in your browser as well as a file. Whenever you run a BOM report, if you look down in the status bar area, the output is written to a file. And that's, again, if you've got the both option defaultly assigned, so more than likely you do have that option set up. So you can actually go outside of Creo and access that file, it usually goes into your working directory. But there's yet another configuration option that you can set up to specify where that goes if you are able to change your options where you are, that is. Alternatively, if you just rather have the data come out, the information from your BOM report run on the screen only, then you can switch to, for this option, info output mode screen, and that will allow you to see the output information in your Creo main graphics window only. No extra file is created, which is important if you don't need to manage a lot of text files or don't want to manage a lot of text files. Now, if you prefer just text files, there is the file option that, if set for this configuration option, will work with just the output file, the text file, and not give you the results from your BOM report run on the screen. And I have seen this choice at a lot of companies lately, the choose option, where you actually see a menu manager pop up with the info output title. The menu manager info output menu will pop up if you choose, for this configuration option, input output mode, the choose option, where you would have a listing for a screen or file, and you can specify one or the other that you'd rather have, or both, by the way. You have the other options. If you go with choose, the other three options are choices from a list. It's an extra click, but if you'd rather specify screen or an actual text file, then it's beneficial. The point is, the software is flexible enough to allow you to specify your choice of option, one way or the other, for how the output information is communicated or presented to you, which is very nice. Now, we'll come back to this slide here. I'm going to now go into real-time demonstration. And let's see here. I have Creo 6 and Creo 7 running here. I'm gonna work with Creo 7 since it popped up first. I have an assembly model here already in the main window, and you can see the components that are in this assembly. So we've got a couple of parts, and we have a subassembly, essentially. So if I want to stay here on the model tab, which is currently active, you can look over on the right-hand side and notice the investigate group, where we can access bill of materials information option here. And alternatively, if you are on the tools tab, or you prefer to go to the tools tab, you'll notice that there is an investigate group to the left of the tools tab, where entirely leftmost is the bill of materials option. So there's two different ways to access the same tool, which exists on two different tabs. And if you created another tab and added this tool, it can be there too. So the point is, you have choices. And the bill of materials option is used to, as it states there, generate a bill of materials for an assembly. So before I click on this, I'm actually going to go to the file tab up here and select the options option, pardon me. And from file tab options here, we'll see the launch of the Creo Parametric options box, where we can access the configuration editor. It's the last option in the list, you can't miss it. And just to show the BOM format option that I mentioned a little earlier, I'm just going to click on the add button here. And in the option name field, I'm going to type in BOM, shift minus key, and I don't really have to continue typing, which is good because I can't see, but I'm pretty sure that says format. So kind of blurry there, so I'm going to kind of click off of it so you can see a little bit better, or I'll speak for myself. I can see a little bit better. But there's the BOM format configuration option that we can use to define the BOM format, the presentation of how the information comes out to us. And for this particular version of the software here, I'm using just the common software developer default format here, just so that you knew that you could change that if you needed to. Wanted to show you that. And now I'll come back over here to the bill of materials option, and here's the bill of materials BOM dialog box, and I will run a full BOM report from the top level. Again, I'll tell you about the include sections here in a moment. But as I clicked OK, it was real quick there, faster than I could say it. The browser, as you can see here, launched out, and it's prominent, as you can see there. It's kind of detracting away from where the assembly is in the main window. But with some strategic manipulation here, you can see your model, your specification tree, your model tree rather, and the browser here, which again, you can control from the expand browser tool down here in the bottom left corner, the show browser. You can show if collapsed and collapse if shown using that show browser tool there. But you can see the BOM report here. And from the status bar area, that's the name of that area that is a gray strip at the bottom of the interface. You can see very clearly text telling us that the output that we do currently see in the browser there, the BOM report, as it tells us, the text information has been written to a file. You can see it there, top level ASM, which happens to be the name of the assembly, .BOM, which is the extension of this text file. And based on the fact that I ran this for the first time, we've got the first version of this BOM report, the first run, .1 there, specified. And I could go into the environment, the work environment, and access that BOM file in a text editor like Notepad, for example, and see the report. I'll do that in a moment, though. Before I go into that, I want you to get a good understanding here of what we're looking at. We see this breakdown of the models that are in this particular assembly, top level assembly. So we've got two parts, as I stated before, and we've got the quantitative listing, one part, that's two parts, and then we have one assembly, quantitative listing of that one assembly. Now, when you look down below, you can see that there is a sub-assembly field that shows the name of the sub-assembly, sub-assembly 1, as you see it here, with the models that are in that particular sub-assembly listed as well. And then when you look further down in the summary section, which shows a summary breakdown of everything that component-wise exists in the assembly, you can see that this assembly, top level assembly, has 4 part models in it. You've got component 1, component 2, component 3, component 4. Now, when you look at the main graphics window, if we were to go to component 1, wherever you see it, I'll go, since we talked last about the summary area here, to the listing. As I hover over component 1, notice it has a blue underline underneath the name. That indicates interactive, the ability to actually highlight that structure in the main graphics window. So I can actually click on this, in other words, and then in the main window, if you have it situated so that you can see that model, like I do, you'll see it highlight with whatever graphic highlight color that you have set. And I go with the defaults. You can set that up through your configuration environment as well. But I have green. I've seen some with red at this point. But again, whatever your highlight color is, you got that capability of seeing that model highlight there in the main window. Now, let me hover a little bit again over that same component 1 that I did click on, because it was very fast. Oh, see how it went away, proving my point there. But you can see that it does state highlight object in graphic window. So you could have probably figured out that that's what that whole name listing with the underline there means. And as a side note, if you see features through your listing, for example, and the same similar underline under the name, blue tint initially before selected, purple after selected, that means you can highlight that structure in the main graphics window upon selecting that line in the browser. Also, you have in the actions area this icon that looks like a yellow triangle, which also allows you to highlight the object in that row in the main graphics window. And just to be a little different, I'll come down here to where the component 2 row is, and click on the highlight object in graphics window button in that row, and you can see that particular model with, there it is up there, highlight in the main graphics window. Now, between some of your tools for managing purposes of how you see things, you might find it beneficial to repaint your screen here and there. And I've got the in-graphics toolbar kind of hidden based on where the browser is. So I am going to choose to right-click on this guy and push it down to the bottom of the screen just so that we can see it, or at least most of it, a little bit easier there. It's gonna break down here, moving these around a little bit. Again, that was a right-click on the in-graphics toolbar, and then where the location area is, you could choose where you'd like to place the in-graphics toolbar, or even don't even show the in-graphics toolbar if you prefer that. This time I'm going to push it over to the left side just to show you that you have options there. And again, depending upon where you are viewing wise, again, other areas might hide your bar, but the point is you can make that happen. And just for a second here, me doing that, I did choose an area that we can't see anything at, so I'm going to push this to the right here just to get that a little bit further out the way. All right, and I did click on this show navigator button here, which collapses the navigation area here in case you wondered how I did that. So depending upon how you want to manage the size and information here, you've got some choices. I'm just using my mouse to rotate the model around a little bit, using my mouse to drag the width here of the browser, and you can do the same thing with the navigation area there to a point. All right, there's a limit to how far you can go in both areas, the browser and the navigation area. And if you just need to collapse, that's why we talked about those tools there too. Now, from where we are, let me hit this repaint real quick and then go back over to the component 2 little highlight button there so you get some perspective on where that model was. It wasn't entirely obvious because the other component 1 model was already lit up. So you got choices is the point. And since we're here, you can actually launch another browser interface that shows information about the model in that particular row. And since I was just hovering over the component 1 row here, I'll click on the get model info on this object button here in that row, and that launches out a separate browser of information, model information. And in some situations, you might have to scroll to see all the information, but here I can see everything that's being communicated in one eye shot. The component's name, the current system of units, the listing of structure, cross section. You might have some other areas based on layers and other settings that you might have. I want to show you this because now that I've done this, look down, the status bar area is now communicating to us that this information is written, this component information, to yet another information file. This one, because this model information has an INF extension, and because it's my first run, is showing .1. So every file has a name, and it usually is based off of the tool that you're using, in my case, model information, and then the generic extension for that text format, INF in this case, and then a number based on the run. And we'll go back over here with the back browser button and then show that we didn't lose that other information, but because that was a BOM report that I ran, now the status bar area is telling me that this report was rewritten based on current information, which could have been updated if you think about it, with the .2 version of that file. So same thing, name of the assembly, .BOM type of text file that is, and because it's the second run technically, .2, right? So you can actually repeat your reports without fully having to come back up to either the tools tab or the model tab to click bill of materials option. And I will do that just to prove that there's a .3 version of that information there. So you can manage those quite nicely is the point here. And there is a save option here if you'd like to save the document, say, as a different file name, for example. And since I am looking here, I hope I can get to this pretty quickly. Sorry I didn't have this up already, but we're going to go over to the Creo 7 And I'm going to quickly click on date modify here, and then you can see the two BOM reports nicely time-stamped based on the runs that I ran through, right? And there's the information tab right there, the information file rather right there. And since I'm on that one, I'm going to select it and then hold down my right mouse button, and you can see that I can go to open with, and my environment is set to Notepad. I have seen some at certain companies where it's another text editor, like WordPad, for example. Kind of fat here, but we'll scroll out. I do realize I did select the component information, as you saw there, but I am now going to go to one of those BOM reports. I'll go to the most recent one here and do a open with here as well. And oops, didn't mean to do that. Create a shortcut, but we're just gonna bring this up slowly but surely. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It's slower than me. It's thinking about it. Oh shoot. Okay. It brought up another window thinking I was trying to open up a file, but that's okay. All right. Sorry about that, but there we go with our nice listing here. All right. Real time, as we said before, real time, real results. Just to put this information out there, just because I'm the kind of person that thinks like this, not saying anybody thought like this, but just in case the question is out there, this information is written one way to the text file. There is no functionality that allows me to edit this document and then push this back into Creo. If you need to manage your assembly, remove models, add models, etc., then you would do similarly to what we said earlier. You would run your BOM report again, generating that next dot version of that report so that you could then come here similarly to your environment to see the output. All right, so this is not something that can go back into Creo. This is one-way output. All right, and speaking of that, that reminds me of the output information that we spoke about earlier. So I'm going to now go back over into the Creo section here, and we'll select the file option once again, options option, file options. And then from the Creo Parametric options box, we'll go to the configuration editor here. This time, let's look at the info output format, and luckily everything is listed alphabetically because I evidently type very slowly, but there are the two output options that I spoke of earlier. Again, HTML, and that little star right there is indicating that that's the default software setting, not necessarily company setting, because you have choices. If your company comes in and prefers a text file, you can switch, or someone could switch to that option here. And that would be the setting that you would establish upon going through the OK option, and then OK again to change your configuration. I'm not going to do that, by the way, but you can if you chose to do that. And prematurely close that. I do want to show once again the output format. As a matter of fact, this will be a little faster if I go here and type out output, spelling it correctly. Once again, real time there, sorry. There we go. So again, this is a little quicker than I am. So, and plus it shows both options here now that I think about it. So there's the info output mode option right there that I spoke of a little earlier, where you can assign one of these options as far as how the information that you're running, again, whether it's the BOM output or the component model information output, but information in general. You could choose any one of these types if that's your choice. And so for what we're doing, I'm going to say choose here, and then I will fully go through the process of adding and changing that particular option so that we can get, and this is 7, the change here. And when we run our BOM report, all right, here's the menu manager there. showing the info output menu manager listing of the three options, pardon me, that we talked about before. There were the four options: screen, file, both, and choose. I switched to choose option in that configuration so that I can work with this manager listing where I can choose how I want the output to be shown or given to me. And I can say screen here. And then this is that separate dialog box that I mentioned a little earlier. Again, the fourth one, as you can see up there, of the output, the managed output. All right. And it is important that your BOM format output is set up how you parametrically want to see that information, especially since you do have choices. If you do have multiple format files that you would like to work with, you could choose them after changing your configuration or it one at a time appropriately before performing your run, if you're allowed to do that. If you're wondering about the format change just from a communication standpoint in a drawing, that is something entirely separate from what we're communicating here. We're talking about the format and how the information is presented in these information boxes and interfaces, not in the BOM tables that you might have set up for communicating information specifically in your drawing. All right, that is something entirely separate. All right, so there are parameters that will allow you to set up the information that you'd like to be reported, and you would need to set up your repeat regions appropriately in your BOM tables for drawing purposes, so that associatively that information will come in automatically once the assembly is assigned to the drawing. All right, that's interesting and worth mentioning. All right, so those are different formats, once again, different formats, but just to anticipate the question, wanted to make sure I put that out there. Now, there is a configuration option that I did not put into the slides, but if you have the summary reports and you write it to an HTML-based output, there's a particular configuration for that too, that one might set, one being an individual or a company. And so I'll bring that up here. Give me one moment here to type that in. All right, this is the option here, dir report. And it links over to a config initial MC file. That might be a little bit more than you might want to know. And you might have to set that up too, by the way. I'm going to go to find here because I can find faster than I can type. But it has that name in it there. And oh, not spelled out all the way. Hold on for a second here. All right, so you can set up, again, your report preferences, your output information, and for all full disclosure, it would be beneficial for anybody that wants to customize to get an understanding of all the options that are available to you. You might want to do a little research because there are several configuration options that can manage the output files and how the information is presented and manage the formats that get pulled in automatically. And again, there are several configuration options, and depending upon what you might want to do or might need to do, your understanding of what the software allows you to do from a configuration sense is going to be beneficial. So I've just basically scratched at different specific options, and I'm just going through the listing of all the options here just to show that there are several. Now, not all of these obviously have any link over to information and how it's reported. The point is there are configurable settings that can change your environment defaults. So if the software defaults aren't exactly what you prefer, you with the right option change can ensure that your Creo session is set up to communicate and output the way you would like. And that's everything that I wanted to show you today.